Capital and County Properties, or Capco, is a London property company with two key assets focused on Earls Court and Covent Garden. Talking about location.
Indeed. So remember, we didn't mention this earlier, but the origin of both this and Into is the old Liberty International. Donnie Gordon, who built that portfolio, and then a couple of years ago it separated into the two pieces. So Capco is really the central London entity. Covent Garden is a tremendous retail estate just behind St Paul's in London, and then Earls Court is a big exhibition centre.
Market cap 41.2 billion rand, a historic yield of 0.6%.
So this one's more a capital growth story. You can see very low yield, and they have paid very small dividends historically because they've said here's an opportunity to get capital appreciation in high quality, very central London properties.
In other words, we'll retain your money because we can invest it more wisely and grow it more effectively than you can.
Yes, correct. And so it has more like an equity quality in that respect. Very strong properties in central London. London itself, if you look at it, I think is a little bit insulated from Brexit because maybe they're going to be a net beneficiary from a tourism point of view. And if you're in retail in London, I mean, tourism in London already is massive, and the pound falling cannot hurt that. It can only actually enhance it. So I think that these properties are actually in quite a good space. And with this big price fall, it represents good value and a potential buying opportunity.
Can we look at the share price graph?
Let's look at the share chart. It doesn't look very happy, I'm afraid. So
but
remember,
in that could be the opportunity.
I guess so. Look, I mean, Covent Garden was a fruit market from the 7th century. The 7th century, that's like 700 AD. And now it's what, 2016? It's quite a long time that that's been a prime...
Difficult to get my head around that.
...retail asset. And it's now like right opposite St Paul's, as I mentioned. It's got its own tube station named the same. It's got the largest Apple store in Europe in there. It's a beautiful and irreplaceable property. It'll continue to do well. Earls Court, I think, has been a little bit of a disappointment. They had some quite grand plans to develop there, and they got slowed down a little bit, I think, with planning permissions and so on. What a shock, you know, being in central Europe and central London in particular. But it does have an indefensible, irreplaceable value to it.
And I like Lance's thesis that effectively with a weaker pound, that is going to stimulate the consumer environment in the UK, especially foreigners coming in.
So. And Covent Garden is one of the tourist spots that you've got to go to. It's a must-see. And so I think it represents good value at this. I'm calling it hot.
You're calling it hot?
Yeah.
Cool.
I guess those tourists will be going there instead of going to Paris, which has been the net negative because of terrorist concerns. So, okay, well, let's be brave and go hot on Capco.